Oh. I was gonna say, it ain't like nothing that we needed too much time on. Turn my phone off would help.
Okay, and start we need to do the go-to meeting. Bringing up go-to meeting now.
Oops. There he is. He's on.
Good evening, everyone. I want to welcome you to our meeting, and at this time, we will have our invocation by Commissioner, the Reverend B.J. Gibson.
Would you bow your ears with me for our invitation? Our God and our Creator, we thank you for this day, for the many blessings that you have bestowed upon us and those that you continue to grant unto us. We say thank you. We thank you for your protection that you have placed over us in the midst of this pandemic, and we ask your continued guidance and safety as we continue to maneuver during these very difficult and challenging times. Bless our commissioners tonight and all of the citizens who have joined us. Allow all that we say and do to be done pleasing in your sight and in the best interest of those of whom we serve. What is in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. If you would you stand and join with us as we pledge our allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we're going to do something that perhaps we could have done a long time ago. This is the second year, going into the third year of this COVID-19 and the pandemic, and we have many heroes here in Scotland County, many, countless heroes. And tonight we're going to recognize some heroes among heroes. Many of our heroes are employees and they have to punch the clock. The people, many of the people being recognized here tonight did it voluntarily. Nobody asked them to do it. They just stepped up to the plate during the awful time. We didn't know what was safe, but these people stepped up and put their health on the line and perhaps the health of their families. And we're so proud of you tonight. And at this time, we are going to recognize these individuals. The first one is on our list is Miss Essie Davis. We will ask her to come up and those with her.
Where's her?
Stand over here around the mic.
You might just want to take it off and hold it, John, that microphone. It might be easy to hear you. Hold it.
I don't think I need a mic.
You're gonna need it, John.
And I'm gonna ask you to do the reading that I was told to do that. This is Linda Douglas. Most of you know her. She's an educator. She's the reading.
My years of education, I think, will enable me to speak with you. I don't think I'll need a mic from training. The novelist Charles Dickens wrote the novel A Tale of Two Cities. And when he penned that book, he began with these words. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was a time of wisdom. It was a time of foolishness. Those words are as relevant today as they were when he penned them long ago. We can say it was the worst of times because COVID-19 has been one of the worst experiences of most of our lives. But the other side of that coin is also the best of times because COVID-19 brought to the forefront many unsung heroes and angels among us. Our honoree tonight is one of those. She has many qualities, and if I tried to enumerate all of them, we wouldn't have time for the rest of the meeting. So I'm just going to single out three that I want to capitalize on. The first one is she is an engaging person. The first thing you notice about her is her pleasant demeanor and her engaging smile. Well, you have to be careful because that's the way she gets you to do whatever it is that she's supposed to act. She's very persuasive, and she uses that skill of connectivity and collaboration to get groups and organizations and people to do whatever it is she needs to be done. The second thing, she's compassionate. It doesn't take much, and then you've got a bucket of tears because she is a feeling person with a heart for those who are less fortunate and who have needs. She saw a need to realign the community people who, when our churches were closed, they had some feelings of isolation and depression. So through her Women on the Move organization, she devised a Saturday inspirational service where she gave you breakfast, and using COVID protocol, you stayed in your cars and you were social distance, but you went away feeling much better after that hour of service. The second thing that she did, she knew that there were some children that with the upcoming winter wouldn't have any coats. And so she got busy and asked everybody that she knew and some that she didn't know for coats for young people who otherwise would be coatless this winter. And the last thing that I think stands out more than anything else, she is an energetic person. Once she focuses on something, she doesn't let it go until she's accomplished that. And for that, it is my honor and great privilege to introduce to you our very own Energizer Bunny in the flesh, Evangelist Essie Davis.
Thank you so much. Now, I'm not afraid of a microphone, but tonight seemed like I just want to shy away from it. But I just want to thank my family with me on this evening, my husband, Murray, right there, and my daughter, Shaka, and her husband, Kelly, and my granddaughter, Kelly, our cousin, Miss Linda Douglas, my friend, missionary Jimmy Sims, my brother-in-law, the J.D. Hayes, my sister-in-law, Willie Hayes, and also my son, Eric Davis. Y'all might see him at Wendy's. But I want to say thank you so much for this recognition on tonight. And I just would like to say that I've always wanted to be this type of person. There's three kinds of people in the world. You probably heard this cliche before. Those that ask what happened, those that watch it happen. I've always wanted to be a person that make it happen. Thank you so very much. And Commissioner Jonathan, thank you.
This time I want to present it. I want to present this award to you. Present it to Essie Davis in recognition of extraordinary service to the citizens of Scotland County during the COVID-19 pandemic, presented by the Scotland County Board of Commissioners on this third day of January 2022. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
You up.
Hmm?
You're up.
No, my name is not here.
I was about to say you.
I don't know.
I haven't seen you.
Ms. Golster, Mr. McNeil understood that he should be at Peden Street at the county office, so that's where he is, but he's on his way here.
Thank you for telling me to be with you. Okay, put me last, Commissioner Alford, since he's on his way.
Okay. Next, we will have Mr. B.J. Gibson, and
I have the same dilemma. She's at the other building, thought she was supposed to be there, so we'll pass.
okay. Whit Gibson. He couldn't be here tonight, and
Ms. Phoebe Holt is also unavoidably delayed, detained also, she will not be here.
Commissioner Ivy.
My turn. Miss Elliott. So, well, I had this thing written out that I was going to read off, but after Miss Douglas, I think I better just do. And in full disclosure of this, you know, we were asked to nominate somebody a couple months ago, and the first person that came to my mind was Erica, and not for the reason that, well, she's my daughter-in-law, so I'll tell you that, but because we've had to see her in the good, bad, and the bad times during this, when she comes home crying because she lost somebody, or she comes home crying because she saved somebody. And when she learned of this, she got it. I didn't tell her about it. She got the letter. And probably the first word she said to me was, well, there's hundreds of more down there at Scotland Memorial that deserves this as much as I do. And so this has to be on behalf of all of them. I said, well, we can't put all of the name on the plaque. So Erica is going to receive this. Erica is an RN at Scotland Memorial, and just goes above and beyond. Again, I'm not going to go into reading this, but if you talk to the people that she's helped or been patients of hers, talk about the attention to detail and whatnot that she does in every patient that she has. So with that, it's the same wording presented to Erica Elliott on this day. So.
Usually I'm very talkative, but this is an honor to receive this on behalf of you guys. And being an RN, we actually have another employee here at Scotland too. We do see this every day, and we're seeing the surge now. It is heartbreaking, especially at the beginning when we didn't know what to do. We didn't know what this was. We were getting our own data, and trying to figure it out ourselves. It's just like you guys are doing in the community. And I would applaud the community too with doing their part and trying to make sure our numbers are down. But our numbers are starting to go up, of course, at the hospital. We're seeing that, especially after the holidays. So just have us in your prayers, thoughts, do your part to be safe, keep your family safe. Say your prayers for us, the doctors and nurses, respiratory therapists, anybody in the hospital who takes care of these patients, from not just the nurses, but our housekeepers, dietary. We all see these patients. We see them, the families. We see the families that come in, and patients we can save, patients we can't save, and that's part of the medical field. But we've seen it a lot more, especially with this pandemic, and it's really hard. I love my job. I love being a nurse. My husband's he is my cheerleader, basically, because he hears my stories when I come home, whether they're happy or sad. He gets me all my tears. So I thank him for that. But yeah, I appreciate this. Just keep us in your prayers.
Next, we have Commissioner McCall.
I hope this will help everybody here. Good evening. Thank you for being here. I'm recognizing Miss Kelly Peavy tonight. She works at Scotland Health Care in the hospital. She's a respiratory therapist. And I think that most of us know that the respiratory therapists in our world during COVID have been on the front lines. And we know that's certainly true of Kelly. She's worked 70-hour weeks. She's worked in surrounding hospitals on her days off. And unfortunately, for many healthcare workers, she has unfortunately experienced the death of too many patients. Fatigue, sadness, and stress has been her constant companion for almost 2 years. It's so hard to say that, but it is so true. From her coworkers, we know that she's encouraged patients to fight the disease. She set up FaceTime appointments for her patients and their families. And even after many months of caring for others, Kelly contracted COVID herself and was very ill during her quarantine. She has been and continues to be one of the heroes of fighting this COVID pandemic. She would say that she's just one of many who has worked long hours and many days caring for those most critically impacted by the disease. But I'll say that I'm glad we have someone like Kelly Peavy in our healthcare system. Congratulations.
I don't think I can talk. But I thank all of y'all for everything.
Next, we have Commissioner McFadden.
I'd like to put mine on to next month because of conflict in schedule.
Has anyone else come in? Other folk haven't found
Ms.
it.
Wilson's representative is here.
Oh, good. Tell them to come on in.
He's standing right in the door, whether you can call him now.
Oh, okay. With honor, I call Mr. Zachariah McNeil.
Where's that? There.
Come on in.
Dr. Z.
It gives me great pleasure to introduce, many of you know Mr. Zachariah McNeil. He is the most amazing person I think I ever met. My oldest daughter, I'm telling you, are in her 50s, really. And she remember him. And my baby girl in her 40s, she remembers him. He has been around so long and has done so much for Scotland County. He is unbelievable. And I'm gonna read you something about him, but it's just amazing. He's just amazing to me. Zachary McNeil taught school, that's far enough, for 35 years. Athletic trainer, licensed sports person for, trying to see these words without my glasses, okay, let me start again. Okay, 45 years present, still can't see it. I'll get it together in a few minutes every time I take a phone. Okay, athletic trainer, athletic, where is Jay? Jason, would you read this for me? Because it's my glasses keep falling.
Okay.
It's not like dark enough for me to see.
Zachary McNeil, taught school for 33 years. Athletic trainer, licensed sports medicine for 45 years until present. He's been driving the school bus for 45 years. Drove bus for during the pandemic, March of 2020, for August 21 daily. Volunteers for 40 years at the Scotland County Rescue.
What a record. And I forgot the flag.
Yeah.
And this is with great honor that I present this plaque to Mr. Zachary McNeil. Amazing, amazing person.
Thank you all very much for this award. I'm pleased to serve Scotland County. This is my home. I grew up here, and I decided to come back here to implement all my skills that I have gained through education here in Scotland County. Thank you again.
This time we'll have Commissioner B.J. Gibson.
Tonight I have the honor of recognizing a local hero who is known as the others to all of us, and that is Miss Renee Loretta McNeil. You can come forward this time.
Oh, she's here. Let's see. They all hiding. I didn't either.
Like all of the others who have come up, there's a history of things that I could recognize Ms. McNeil for. But as we have as a board of commissioners, I want to recognize her tonight for her efforts during the COVID-19 pandemic. Ms. McNeil, as we all know, works with both the Scotland County Youth Development and the Scotland County NAACP. In March of 2020, Ms. Loretta McNeil planned and hosted a COVID-19 drive-up testing site. Then in April, before our county even started giving out gift cards and incentives to get people to get vaccinated and get tested, Ms. Loretta McNeil was able to gather up funds to give out gift cards to encourage people to be tested. In May of 2020, she was able to give over 200 masks to our sheriff's department and city police. August through November, she continued with testing sites. And during such time, she and the young people that worked with her were knocking on doors, trying to get people to come out and be tested and vaccinated. In December of 2020, she hosted a holiday cheer luncheon where seniors gave them gift bags, and they also delivered breakfast to COVID victims at their homes. Also during this time, she has worked to provide seminars virtually and knocking again on doors to provide literature so that our citizens would be safe. They have also been a part of phone banking, reaching out to citizens, working with our local health department and the community a community healthcare worker. They provided transportation for many citizens to receive their vaccination, and they continue even now to provide $50 stipends and $100 stipends to those who receive their vaccination and their booster. So this evening, on behalf of the County of Scotland, Board of our commissioners, want to say thank you for all of your hard work and your efforts to Protect our community. We love you.
Hi, greetings to everyone, the county commissioners, to the wonderful citizens of Scotland County, and likewise to the doctors, the nurses, everybody that's playing their own part. COVID has made us more of a family, and we do indeed understand that the air we breathe, the water we drink, those many things that matter to us, such as a pandemic that has affected us globally, becomes number one. And I'm true to heart. I understand that we're in this together. We've had people that were disabled, so I take this on their behalf. We had people who pretty much were students knocking on doors. We take very much precautions, but the biggest part is that we had other partners involved, Mr. Gordon. But the most important thing I want to say is that it has brought us closer together. We understand that we're in this together, and it's taught us, the little kids, to be able to say to people, it's okay if you don't want to do it, but still, whenever you want to, you can come to us and we'll give you guidance. Thank you.
I want to thank you, all of the heroes. You are our heroes. We don't say that just to say it. You are indeed our heroes, and we again want to thank you. I don't know if the commissioner want to say something before some of them leave.
I'd like to say that we appreciate all the things that was done by the citizens of Scotland County. Some of you did so much, whether it's, feeding the hunger, of providing food, providing transportation, healthcare services, so many things you've done. And we really want to thank all of you. You all are our heroes. But we wanted to bring some emphasis on some of our heroes. But we want to thank all of you for what you've done to help us get through this COVID since 2020 and 2021, and we're and 22 now. And we ask all of you continue to do all the wonderful work that you have been done and have done through the last 2 years. Thank you.
At this time, I would like to recognize, before we get into our agenda any further, some dignitaries, and all of you are important to us, every single one of you. We have some elected officials among us that's not on the agenda that I would like to have you all stand, and I want to introduce you. I want you to introduce yourself. I have your names here, but I would like for each of you to stand, if you would, and tell us who you are.
I'm Gwen Eric. I'm the new mayor of Gibson. 3 weeks in.
I'm Howard Miles, Town Commissioner of Gibson. South Dakota State Senator representing District 25, which is Anson, Richmond, Scotland, and Moore County. Glad to be here.
I'm George Percy. I'm new mayor. Wait, 3 weeks in.
All right.
Great.
Thank you. And welcome to our meeting. We're just so proud to see people step up to the plate and change things for the better. And we know the only thing constant is change. And people like you make it happen. And we appreciate that. We're so glad that you took time out of your busy schedule to attend this meeting. Thank you so much. At this time, we'll have the approval of our agenda.
Mr. Chairman, can I just I don't want to get out of order here,
Yes, go ahead.
but for the folks that have came for their award and
Yeah.
don't want them to feel like they have to sit here through
Go
okay.
ahead and tell them.
If you've came, we appreciate it. You're welcome to stay. Hopefully we won't be here that much longer, but don't feel free. You're not going to offend us if you want to get on out. Thank you, sir. I knew something wasn't
I
one.
guess we didn't need a group picture, did we? I guess it
No, he got everybody individually, so.
You know, I didn't recognize Mr. Glover. What was he thinking?
Do I?
Mr. Glover, I'm sorry I didn't recognize you with your mask. So good to see you. Really.
Sorry about that. I just.
Well, thank you,
It's all right.
Commissioner Ivey. This time, we need the approval of our agenda. Need a motion.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Any discussion or questions concerning this agenda? If not, those in favor, use the sign aye.
Aye.
If there's any opposed, use the sign nay. Thank you, it's approved. Next is our public forum. Is anyone sign up to address the board of any matter concerning this county or a matter that you think that we should know about? No one? Thank you so much. At this time, entertain a motion to approve our consent agenda.
So moved.
He's getting the names for it. Jason can see who.
Ghostin and
I'll second.
Yeah.
Gibson second.
Gibson second. Anyone have a question or comment concerning the consent agenda? If not, those in favor, use the sign aye.
Aye.
And opposed, nay. Thank you so much. This time we have with us a very special guest.
Very.
You've taken time out to come here. I've told folks they delivered this time. And at this time, we'll have remarks from our Senator Tom McInnis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going.
Oh.
Keeps collapsing on us.
Can we tighten that up? Is there any way we can tighten it up?
I believe I'm be okay with it. I'm gonna get out of this thing so you can hear me a little better.
Can it be tightened up for this?
I don't know.
First of all, I want to say greetings to
don't
the
think-
commissioners and our manager, our attorney, and all the folks that are here. We got some other elected officials. Greetings to everybody and Happy New Year.
Thank you.
2022. I tell you what, I remember when I was 16 years old, I said, I'll never get to be 30. No way you can live that long. And Lord of mercy, here I am, that and a couple of times more. And we continue to see great things happen. I'm honored to be here tonight. And what I'm going to tell you tonight will be pale in comparison to what the folks that have been recognized before I got up here have done for this county and this state. Let's have a little chat.
Yeah.
I don't think it will. I don't know what it's going to do. I think it's deep.
I guess so.
Well, we're going to try to make it. I'd rather not hold it unless I just have to. Let's just cock it back over this way and see if we can get a balance on it. There we go. Okay. But as I just mentioned, what I'm going to tell you, while it's important, it's pale in comparison to what the ladies and gentlemen that have been recognized before me have done because and in defense of and in support of COVID and our community. And I'm honored to be on the same podium that they are. I'm glad to report to you tonight, though, as you all know, we finally got a signed budget. Now, everybody wants to know about the budget. They always ask me about the budget. So tonight, I brought a copy of the budget so everybody can see what it looks like.
Oh, goodness.
We all can see $59 billion in two books. This is the law book, and this is the money book. This is the book where all the money is spelled out. This is where the law is put together, where all the litigation that you're hearing about every now and then when they want to sue over something, they sue over that. But this is the money, and that shows you what we have to deal with. And my wife won't let me read it for 30 minutes at a time because I get mad when I read it. Because it's got a few things in there that are not relevant to the citizens of the state of North Carolina, other than they're being asked to pay for special things. I thought about coming down here today about how far we've come in Scotland County with the highest tax rate and the highest illiteracy rate and the highest teenage pregnancy and all these bad rates, and how we've brought them into reality, and how we've done so many great things here because of not only the leadership of your organization, but our school board, our municipalities throughout the county, our community college, our businesses, and our citizens in general. We started behind the 8 ball, and we've come out from behind the 8 ball. And one of the things that we've been able to do is recognize that in Raleigh, and to be able to get you guys and girls some additional money. Now, of course, I know Representative Pierce has already stole my thunder and been here before me, and so he got first licks on me, and he's told about a lot of stuff, and so I'm not going to steal his thunder either. We do have one thing that was a little additional that we didn't know we were going to get, is a special $550,000 appropriation that was availed to me, along with a few other dollars that I was able to spend in a couple of my other counties. But that, I hope, will be a help to y'all here in the county as you go about your business working on projects. And if it happens to be excess to a project, I'm sure you can find some place to put it that would be needed to balance a budget or that sort of thing. A couple of things that I don't know that Representative Pierce mentioned, but I want to talk about because they're very important. One of the things I was able to do on the Senate side was to get an appropriation of $1.5 million for Richmond Community College. As we all know, we got brand new facilities here with Richmond Community College under their expanded campus. And if you want to get a job as an HVAC installer or mechanic, get a license, the facility is right down the street here on Covington Street. One of the most modern facilities of its kind in the United States, not just North Carolina. You've got, of course, engineering. You've got if you want to climb poles and be a high wire activist over there and handle electricity, you've got the chance to do that. A substation management, which is the only substation management program of its kind in America, is right here in Richmond and Scotland County. So we have people coming from all over the country that use that facility, and those folks walk out of there with a certification, a 2-year associate degree, with a job that pays from $70,000 to $170,000 a year, right out of the chute. Now, they're not going to work across the street here. Some of them are going to go out of state, and some even out of country. That 170 is for Australia. We have a young man that went to Australia and making $170,000 a year. Now, we also put in on that 1.5 million for CDL. We got a 1.5 million for auto technology. So you got a $3 million total appropriation. Now the CDL course, of course, will be held out at the airport on property that y'all have worked together, I know, with Richmond Community College, and that CDL course will be used instead of once a year, what we have now for 20 people. It'll be about 25 to 30 people 5 times a year. And one of the greatest needs that we have in North Carolina, especially right here in Scotland County, is a CDL is needed. It's a job that pays starting right out of the chute, $50,000 a year goes up to $125,000. And the ones that make 75 to 100 can live right here in Scotland County and not have to go anywhere, sleep there in their home at night. The auto technology money is to put in an auto technology training facility on the campus in Hamlet, and that would be for people that want to work for a franchise dealer. Those jobs start out at $40,000 a year and go to about $140,000 a year. These are real jobs paying real money. Now, they're not going to be across the street. They're going to have to travel a little bit. Fayetteville, North Myrtle Beach, Raleigh, Charlotte, the likes of that. But again, a lot of things happening there. A lot of roads are real good. Somebody can drive for an hour each way like they do in New York and New Jersey. They have to travel by train to get into town, to get into Manhattan every day, an hour, hour and a half. So we're going to have to learn, if we want a real high-paying job, we might have to travel a little bit. And of course, we're continuing to work to bring high-paying jobs here. Now, one of the challenges that we have is our school system teachers and our administrators being swept away by these big counties in North Carolina and these big school districts paying significantly more money. So one of the things, I'm on the education committee, and I beat the drum pretty heavily on that to do something about a local supplement that we have in North Carolina. And some counties don't even have a local supplement. I don't know how they do it, but you get a small school system, they don't even have a local supplement at all. Scotland County has always been blessed with having a decent local supplement, but Wake County is 18%. So on a $50,000 salary, you're talking about $9,000 in additional money. That's a difference that's hard to overcome. Now, they got a cost of living difference there and that sort of thing. So we put $100 million recurring into the budget to allow the 95 counties that are not exceptionally rich and prosperous to be able to tap into that fund. And it'll be, again, across the board, about between 1.2 and 1.3% additional local supplement to every school teacher and all the systems in North Carolina, except in those big counties that I mentioned that are not in it, the Wake, the Mecklenburgs, the Guilfords, the big counties like that. One of the challenges that causes us in rural North Carolina to fall behind is the lack of high-speed internet for our citizens in the rural parts of the county. And one of the things that we did was to put not 1 million, not 100 million, but 1,000 million, $1 billion into the budget to expand high-speed internet across the rural parts of North Carolina from Manteo to Murphy. Again, that's $1 billion. That will make a difference, because if you're on the internet, you're equal to somebody in California or Beijing or New Delhi or Sydney, Australia. And we've been able to stick that in there. The budget is powerful. The governor, the pro tem, and the speaker all came together. They worked together. We worked together as a bipartisan body in the Senate, and they did in the House, and we were able to bring forth this budget that you see here in the chair tonight that touches every man, woman, and child in North Carolina. A couple of things that I participated in personally that have an effect overall in Scotland County was the North Carolina High School Athletic Association. They were hitting the school out here at Scotland for extra money every year for this and extra money for that. And our parents were out there with their selling popcorn and washing cars and doing anything they could to put uniforms on these kids and give them safe equipment and give them the opportunity to play ball. But the folks up at the High School Athletic Association had turned their facilities and their process into a money machine. And we delved into that and found that they had assets of over $40 million. In the majority of that in a cash fund balance, a little bit of it real estate. but they would use financial penalties. And they used financial penalties against Scotland Senior High School. If they had 2 pages of financial penalties that they could be charged for, from $100 to $4,000 or $3,000. And I went through the list, and they charged for some kind of very light infraction, a financial penalty. I looked into that, and the financial penalties overall for 5 years amounted to over $416,000 that they took in to go into the coffers. Now, they didn't give that money or you invest that money for any other reason other than to build that fund balance up. And so we saw that as a problem. We also saw that they had a very, very non-transparent appeals process. The commissioner was in charge of the initial appeal, the next appeal, and the final appeal. So the judge, the jury, and the executioner, counselor, were all one and the same, and there's no independence and there was no transparency. So we got involved. We created legislation that we were told it would never pass. We'd never get it done. But we worked with the governor, and we worked with the folks on the other side, and we crafted legislation to put the power to rule and regulate high school athletics back in the hands of the people that it rightly belonged to, and that's, of course, the State Board of Education. And that's House Bill 91. It was signed by the governor. It is in law. And this foolishness of being able to come down here and say, well, you didn't supply an escort for the officials while they were at Scotland Senior High School, that's a financial penalty, Commissioner McCall. That's a financial penalty. Shouldn't happen. Shouldn't happen. Crazy. And it won't happen anymore because we did away with that and used the Texas model, which is a system of demerits. So if somebody does something so egregious, of course, they got the potential to have a disqualification. But if it's something minor, they're going to get written up and they're going to don't do it again. We got children playing children's games. This is not professional sports. We need to let the children play and let them gain knowledge and experience and skill by being in high school athletics. And then the final thing I want to share with you tonight, there are 40 units of government in North Carolina that require an internal audit. 40 units of government that require an internal audit. There's a couple of hundred internal auditors that are scattered across those units of government. But as it was before, the internal auditor answered to their superior. So, counselor, if they found something wrong and the guy or girl they go report it to is going to have the ability to hire or fire or demote or cut their salary, we figured, we might not have transparency and we might not have independence, which we did. So we crafted and created a piece of legislation that we did not get through in time. It's a bipartisan piece of legislation to enhance the ability of the internal auditors to be protected if they're whistleblowers, if they find illegality, or if they find unethical behavior, or if they find money that's not being appropriately handled, they can go to another level, the czar, if you will, of internal audits in North Carolina. And he or she, that person has been funded but has not been chosen yet. They'll be operating under the auspices of the Internal Audit Council in North Carolina. And by being able to do that, that independence and that transparency will come forward. And we believe there's significant amounts of money in the tens of millions of dollars that'll be found for the betterment of the citizens of this great state, because we will have a true, real, and sufficient internal audit system in North Carolina finally. And this is the first in history. It didn't get through, but what we were able to do is put it in with the budget, and it was signed by the governor in the budget. It's right in those books right there. I appreciate your time. I'll be glad to answer any question that I'm able to. If it's something I don't know, I'll be glad to get the answer and get it back to you. But I do appreciate each and every one of you, your willingness to serve, put your name on the ballot, go through the exercise of democracy of an election, which we all know is the highest highs and the lowest lows that you can have. But I appreciate personally each and every one of you doing that, and I'll be glad to answer any question, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much. Any questions, commissioners?
Well, I like to say that Senator McInnis, as a commissioner, I really appreciate all the support you have given us over the past few years. And I know you have given it. And I know I speak for all the commissioners.
Thank you.
And because when we call on you, you always come through. So
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you. And I can tell you that the airport continues to be talking about past support. The airport matters of expansion or moving forward. But I will close with the bad news. Every 10 years, the Constitution requires that the districts be redrawn. And we had a loss of population in some of the rural counties and a significant gain in population of some of the urban counties. That is a population shift that has caused a significant upheaval in the drawing of the maps. And the new map takes me out of Scotland County, which is very, very painful to me. But it is what it is, as my old mother used to say. And you will be, if the maps hold, there is litigation, there's a lawsuit that's being tried as we speak. And in that regard, to redrawing the maps, changing and that sort of thing. But as it is right now, Scotland, Hoke, and Robeson County will be one district. And the old District 25, which we have now, Moore County will be in a portion of the rural areas of Cumberland, excluding only the city of Fayetteville. And then the old District 25 will start at Thomasville and High Point, come down through 2/3 of Randolph, all of Montgomery, all of Richmond, all of Anson, and about 20% of Union going all the way to Waxhaw. Now, that's a real district. There's a lot of geography there. But that is the way it is at this point in time, of course, subject to the courts coming back with a change in judgment that would cause those maps to be, again, changed and manipulated. But it is with great sorrow that I share that with you. I have enjoyed working with you, but you're not going to be able to run me off until the first day of 2023 in January. So I'm going to be your senator for one more full year. And needless to say, we will be here and be attentive and do whatever you need. And we'll be going into short session in April. We will be going back and forth before then because, again, there is the litigation of these maps that something will have to be addressed there. But the short session itself will start about mid-April, and we'll go back, of course, to tweak the budget. Yes, ma'am. Mr. Chair, you got a question, I believe.
I have one. Do you have any information on the timeline that the courts are operating under to get us some definite maps going forward?
Well, there's a lawsuit that the Supreme Court has dictated that the 3-judge panel of the Superior Court is to hear that case and finalize it by the 11th day of January this year, next month. And then they will render their verdict within 2 days after that, I believe is what the timeline is. And then, of course, that's subject to appeal to the Supreme Court of North Carolina. There are lawsuits, I should say, multiple, that are fair and again, both sides. And Representative Dan Bishop has filed a lawsuit to find out how the people voted. I mean, so there's a lot of moving parts in this thing. And I have no knowledge of anything other than what I read in the newspaper. Because if I say that I know something about it, counselor, they'll be calling me up to Raleigh and want me to testify about something that I don't know nothing about. I'm not on the redistricting committee, thank God. But hopefully soon, Commissioner McCall.
Thank you, Senator, for the presentation, and thank you for all you do for this state and especially for Scotland County. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you. God bless.
Next, we have on our agenda is an update on COVID-19. Dr. Caldwell.
I knew something was gonna come up. But I'm glad he's saying
Yeah. Oh boy, let's see.
All this information has also been added into the Google Drive, so you have access to it, to go into it in more detail.
Okay.
All right. Just gonna be removing my mics and I'm gonna run this through as quick as I can. And the first graph there, just the percent of the positivity rate, as you can see in the red, it's just telling you how far we have gone for the past few weeks, and the 7-day percentage is 34% in the red. So we are not doing good. So the number of tests being conducted and the number of cases coming back positive is lot. That's why in the left side, on the left side of the graph. And then the right side of the graph is total cases and deaths. But what I'm seeing in the graph there is the number of deaths is kind of changing. The pattern of death is changing. So over the past 2 months, I think we are seeing that last month, 1 death was reported. So that's the sign that I think there's a change in the number of the severity of the virus and the number of deaths. But the number of tests being conducted and coming back positive is still very high. That's just the vaccine progress. On the left side, again, here we can see the age cohort. Again, we're still below what we need to be for 5 to 11. 2% of the population is fully vaccinated. There's a lot to be done over there. For 65 and 74, I think we are doing good in that population. 75 plus, we're doing good. 88%, 65, 88%, 85%. And below the graph, just comparison between, it's a comparison about Scotland, North Carolina, and the United States. We have about 47% of the population here fully vaccinated, and 51% at least have 1 dose, compared to 59% of the population in North Carolina fully vaccinated. So we're not doing terribly with the vaccination. We have made some significant progress. And also on the right-hand side is just the booster doses we've had. So 19%, almost 20% of the population here who have gotten the vaccine who were eligible to get a booster shot, almost 20% have gotten the booster shot. And the reason that brought that in, because we know that the booster shot is making a significant difference with the new Omicron variant that we have. So 47% of the population here eligible being vaccinated. Again, we are compared to the neighboring countries here on the border belt. Scotland is doing a little bit better. Here, just kind of wanted to show you how we are doing in North Carolina as a whole. As you can see, the daily percent positivity rate, that means that the tests that have been tests that have been done in North Carolina, the number that are coming back positive, the daily positivity rate is 27.4%. That is very, very high. But again, 74% of adults population, at least with one dose of the vaccine is good. 69% of the adult population fully vaccinated. Again, it's a good trend. Vaccinations is moving step by step in the right direction. But the rare map is just telling you that, again, that indicators we have 100 counties in North Carolina. You can see that only 2 is substantial. The rest of the counties here are in high risk. So the virus, we are not doing good here in North Carolina. It's spreading very rapidly. I brought this in just to show you about the new variant. So CDC has something called nowcast. The nowcast is not a prediction. What we do with the nowcast is to show you the prevalence of the virus within the community. The prevalence is just how the virus is circulating in the community. So now the Omicron, which is the new variant, is about 78.4% in the HHS region. So the Health and Human Services kind of classify the United States in 7 regions. So North Carolina, Georgia, South Carolina, Alabama, we are in region 4. So based on our regions, the Omicron is about 78%. So, and because of the sequencing of the data, it's about 2 to 3 weeks late. So we expect that by the middle of January, the Omicron is going to be the dominant variant in region 4. So when the data comes in by the middle of January, North Carolina is going to be all over Omicron. What does that mean to us? That means that there's going to be a lot of people getting sick. But what we have, our understanding of the Omicron variant is the clinical manifestations of this virus is going to be different from the Delta variant. The Delta variant, sort of according to the clinical manifestations, do actually affect the lungs. But the Omicron variant is not affecting the lungs. So that's the difference. That's the reasons why people are not getting severely ill with the Omicron variant. Another thing again is we are seeing a trade-off. The trade-off is the vaccines are making a difference because we get a good chunk of the population like taking the vaccine. So even if there are breakthrough, there's still some protective effect. Now, here's the thing. If the Omicron variant becomes the predominant variant in North Carolina, which of course is going to happen, we encourage people to wear the masks. Masks are going to be additional protective layer, but they are not, and I'm going to emphasize this, they are not substitute to vaccine. Vaccines are going to be the best choice. You take the vaccine, and then if you are eligible, you take the booster shot. And the reasons why I'm emphasizing the vaccine is we're seeing a lot of breakthrough cases, like people who take the vaccine and they get reinfected. And like people always ask me, Dr. Corey, why are we doing this again? Now, here's the thing. There's a chance that we could end up with another variant. And we don't know for sure if we end up with another variant, how that variant is going to behave. So we are in, and I don't like to be an alarmist, but one of the things I have tried to do is to give you the data for you to understand what is happening, because I try to break in international data and data here. So we might end up with another variant. And when that happens, we don't know how that is going to happen. This one is very contagious, is very virulent. But when there's another one, the chance of it bypassing the vaccine, we don't know. So the best chance right now, I can advise anybody, and I'm appealing to the public, personally appealing to the public, the best chance right now, masks are not substitute to the vaccine, is to get a vaccine and get a booster shot. because for the next 3 weeks or so, we are going to go through a very rough period of time. Because when we do the MIDO and look at the predictions of this variant, as you look at what the Omicron is going to do, it's going to take all over here, and not just here. It's going to be the entire United States. And it may not just be the entire United States, it's going to be a global problem. Now, here's the thing. Vaccine equity is a problem. Vaccines are not evenly distributed. So if you live in the United States, you get access to vaccine, it's not evenly distributed, there's a chance that when another variant comes, we may be in another problem. So that's what that chart is telling you. And this on the right-hand side is just the ICU. I got this from Scarlet Memorial Hospital, just how they are doing with the ICU. So one of the indicators we look at is how the local health care system is doing with the ICU. But again, I don't think they are doing that terrible as compared to last winter. I spoke with David Polk today, but we continue to monitor the data and see how things are going to be. This is just, I put this graph in here to kind of have understanding of how the virus is kind of disrupting school. I'm not going to recommend that school close here, but what I do recommend is test. They have to do a lot of testing. I'm not going to say they should go to all. They should keep K-12 school for going to school. That could be to the discretions of the Board of Education. But what I do recommend though is they have to do a lot of testing. If you can do a lot of testing, you are able to identify a lot of cases, and then you can intervene at the earlier stage. Because the more you test, the more you identify cases, and the more you can intervene. So the best options for school right now is a lot of mass testing. K-12 school, their choice right now is to test and test and test. And my recommendation to K-12 school is to test. Any questions?
Is there anything that we can do different than we did for the other viruses with this one to protect ourselves? I know you wash your hands, you wear your mask, but is there anything else that as an individual we can do to try to avoid, because this one is so contagious? Like if you go out among people, you most likely you're gonna come up with this virus. So is anything you think that we can do different?
So yes, we have to do the things we have been doing in addition to the vaccine. So if you have gotten your vaccine, get a booster shot. We know for sure that the 2 doses of the vaccine may not be too protective against the Omicron variant, but the booster shot, according to scientific data, the booster shots are working pretty much well against the Omicron variant. In addition to the booster shot, my recommendations would be if you go in public, if you are among those who are not within your household, still wear your mask. Use your hand sanitizer. Those things can still help. Even if there are breakthrough cases, one of the things we are looking at, the pattern we are seeing in the data, those who get 1 or 2 series of the Pfizer, Moderna, or J&J vaccine, when they still contract the virus, what happened is the symptoms within them is mild. They don't get that severely ill compared to those who don't have the vaccine. So one of the things I've been looking at is monitoring the data among those who have taken the vaccine and those who have not. And clearly, I have seen that those who have not taken the vaccine do have symptoms that are severe than those who have taken the vaccine. And I know you may have seen in the news that the children are being hospitalized more than adults. And that shouldn't be a surprise, because one of the reasons is that vaccines were developed and they were not developed for children less than 5 years old. Now, if this Omicron variant comes and you see that more children are going to the hospital, that was because the vaccines were not developed to protect children. So scientific data now we're seeing, so it is a time now, if I make suggestions to scientific data to try vaccines, that could be able to work for kids. Because when vaccines were developed first, the virus was not affecting kids, but now that is not the case anymore. So we may be pushing towards developing vaccines that could be protected against the variant among children.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Caldwell. Thank you. We have with us Gregory Woods, the CEO, and I don't know if I'm saying it correctly. Is it Scotland Memorial Health System or Scotland Memorial Health System? And at this time, I'd like for you to come up and give us an update, if you would.
Thank you all again for your service and thank you for the opportunity. First, let me say I agree with everything Dr. Caldwell has talked about. It's all the same safe behaviors, but it's the booster shot in particular. We're seeing that with our own employees, all our own data is saying that the booster shot makes a big difference. We've got a lot of employees that have tested positive over the past few weeks. Vast majority have been vaccinated because it's been a mandate, but very few of them have gotten the booster. So that really is a big difference between 2 versus the 3rd shot. Scotland Healthcare System, we're underwater again. We had 25 COVID admissions in the past 3 days. We tested 500 folks in the community, and like Eli said, we found over 27% positive rates. We have an awful lot of sick folks as well. We've been at 108 to 110 patients at a licensed bed capacity of 104. So for the past 2 weeks, we have been on out-of-county diversion, holding several patients tonight in the emergency center like every other day. I'm getting calls, why can't mom go upstairs? Because there's no room for mom upstairs. How come I'm waiting several hours in the emergency room? Well, because it's full of a lot of people coming in just to get a COVID test. Don't come to the ER if you need if you're looking for a COVID test. Go to your primary care practices, go to some of the drive-throughs to get tested. So we are again underwater. We've been that way for the last 2 to 3 weeks. Staff going out with positive rates. Lots of folks coming in with other illnesses, so they're really sick again. And again, as Dr. Caldwell alluded to, we think Omicron's going to be with us for a few more weeks. We're hoping it goes through as quickly as it did in other countries, but we're in this for another 3 to 6 weeks. So again, I think the other thing I would advise to your answer, Commissioner Goldston, is to back off some of your commitments. We sent a note today that we're back to all of our meetings are going virtual again. We started meeting in person. But for the next 3 to 6 weeks, we're doing everything virtual. We're encouraging folks to start working remotely. We really believe we can get through this in the next 3 to 6 weeks. We mandated today all staff, when they're in any of our buildings, are back to N95s, not just those patient-facing. We really think we've got a huge outbreak, but we've got a window of opportunity to behave for the next 3 to 6 weeks. So anything you can do to continue the mask mandate, to encourage support of that mask mandate, take care of yourselves. You know, you got folks that couldn't come tonight. I know because they're either been exposed or maybe positive themselves. So it's ramping up quickly. I mean, 25, 27%, 34%, those are enormous numbers. We got scared when we were 10%. We got scared when we were at 12%. We've had 15 to 20 COVID patients on a regular basis inside the hospital. But if we've got 110 in there, that means lots of other really sick folks are out there. Again, thank you for putting us on the agenda on a regular basis. Thanks to Dr. Caldwell for bringing his expertise to the table. But I think we've got a rough 3 to 6 weeks in front of us. Then, if there is no other variant, maybe we get back to where we were when we had a respite for a few weeks in the fall. Glad to answer any of your questions.
Yes, you did.
I think you both have answered my question, but I'm gonna just say, I think based upon your recommendations, we need to extend our state of emergency mask requirement. I would make the motion that we extend it until, what does that make? Until February 11th. I'll put that motion.
I second it. Okay, she said.
Well, who offered the motion?
I
BJ?
offer
Commissioner
Right.
Gibson.
You've heard the motion. Any questions or comments? Those in favor of extending it, say aye. Those opposed? Thank you very much. Thank you, Gregory. Appreciate it.
And I did hear Whit vote.
You heard it?
Yes, also.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Whit. And I do want to say this to all the members of the board. We can expect that Kevin would have to do something so far as working from home, telling folk. So I would like for all the commissioners, if someone should, if he has to go virtual anyway, someone should call a commissioner and tell us that, they came to the office and couldn't get what they wanted immediately. They need to understand, and I would hope that the board would convey that we're having to work through this, and they may have to wait, just a few hours or a day to get the answer to their question, because it's very possible that people may not be in the office every day.
But so you're saying that you want to go back to a work from home across the board, or is there going to be a reason for this work from home?
I'm just saying we need to be aware that Kevin may have to call us and tell us that he has a spike in his.
I get that, but I'm saying but I think we need to define it better than that.
Okay, go ahead.
That's what I'm asking. Is there going to be a definition for,
I have no idea, and
Right now-
Kevin can address that.
Right now, there's no immediate plans.
but they're still not all working in the office.
We have some that do have a split process.
So I just want everybody to be aware of that, because the last time people were working remotely, people were calling commissioners.
Oh, yeah.
Complaining. So want to understand that we understand their complaint.
I just didn't want it to be this across the board, because I think we've made it clear on several occasions that everybody should be in the office now working, regardless of what their title is. And unless there's some kind of, they've tested positive or they're sick or something like that. Natural stuff. But if not, we're going to open that door back up to where you go down there and walk in the front door and anybody there.
That could possibly happen. That's why I want us to be aware of that. And that Gregory Woods and Eli have given us the ups. It could happen. Thank you so much. Next, we have the Water Board financial update. Kevin Patterson and Beth Hall.
I left in front of your faces at the table an updated water financial statement. We had a slight change.
Jason, is that the same thing you just sent us? Is what?
Sure.
Okay. Okay.
So for, District 1, as of December 31st, had total revenues of $303,542, total expenses of $341,711, were revenues under expenditures of $38,000. We got beginning cash of a little over $1 million. Beginning cash as of December was $966,829. District 2 had total revenues of $528,977. Total expenses $405,188. Revenue over expenditures $123,789. Beginning cash was $710,226, and ending cash was $834,016. In your package, you will have comparative reports from fiscal year 21, as well as the budgetary statements for 22.
Is that it?
Yes, sir, unless there's any questions.
This is an action item we need to We don't have to vote to receive this. Thank you. Any question?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious on District 1, and I guess this is the second year that it went negative. Our revenue on it's quite a bit different in District 2, and I get the difference in the sizes, but the expense is almost double. And I'm just curious as what's, because on the cash flow report we have that famous property over 5,000, you know, or other, if you want to call it that, $56,000 where there's nothing in District 2. There's quite a bit of difference in the repairs, other, that's not listed in District 2. $36,000 worth. And what's causing that? Or do we know, or do you know what's causing it?
So District 1, a lot of the additional expenses there are repairs and maintenance with our Cascade facilities, the water treatment plant that is out near the Cascades property. So that is where we're having a lot of the major expenditures for the property over 5 and the other miscellaneous repairs and all that you see that don't necessarily take place in District 2.
Also with the Cascades facility, we've been working with an engineer to try to come up with a solution for some of the issues that we know are out there, just because of the age of the facility.
But is it used for anything now?
It is, we're using the water towers, the water tank, for fire suppression for Cascades facility.
Yeah, but we're not using that building. There's nothing in that building.
It's housing the fire pumps. And right now, we're working with engineers to develop a plan to actually disconnect the water tower from the rest of that facility, basically build a little pump house that would serve Cascades as well as potential fire suppression for the rest of the facility, cutting it loose from the rest of that aging infrastructure out there. And talking with Mike McGurk this morning, or today, he talked with our engineers. They're expecting it's still probably another 6 months before they'll be in position to go out for bid for the repairs. Well, not for the repairs, but for that project.
Bill, please explain the depreciation expense.
So the depreciation expense are all the fixed assets that we've purchased at for the water districts. A lot of those are water towers and the lines and all that were run when the project was implemented. And so each year the assets are written off by a certain percentage based on the useful life. And so we charge X amount of dollars. It varies each year depending on whether or not we've disposed of an asset or if we've added something or if something has been fully depreciated.
Oh, here, 21, there was none appreciated. In 22.
So I did not put the depreciation expense on this particular schedule because it is not cash related.
Yeah, but it's listed under the budget part, so it makes the budget be off when you don't do that, and because it shows 0 for both districts for this year. So the number in reality wouldn't be right if we put the depreciation in there. Is that where you were getting at, Mr. McFadden? Yeah.
Two flags me. That's why I asked the question.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I understand why you're saying because it's not part of the cash, but if we list it on the budget column, but then we don't put anything under the expense column, it seems like it's throwing that total off. In reality, it is throwing that total off because we're showing we budgeted 60,000, but we didn't put anything in that column for it. So it almost makes it look like we're over 60,000. I know we're just playing numbers there, but
the expense will hit the books, and that's usually at year end when we do audits. So that's one of those that has not shown up for 22 because of course we haven't gone through the rest of the fiscal year here and we are in the middle of the 21 audit. So we just have not plugged that figure in.
I'm just saying that maybe we should leave that off the budget number for this part. I understand it, and it just kind of makes it off, though.
Any other questions from Ms. Hobbs? Thank you very much. Next, we have Policy Committee report. County Manager
Okay,
Patterson?
with this policy committee did meet last month, we took up a number of different policies. Most of them were modification or changing where we amended something to current policy or changed item. We have a policy on gifts and favors. Some of that was updating gifts, making sure that we changed the definition so gift cards are just being clear, gift cards are considered cash. What is a de minimis gift? A little bit more in line with those. Political activity, we modified because of existing state law that's clear that current employees are not supposed to run for political office, as well as language under the Federal Tax Act. Substance abuse policy is the change here is because the SCATs, our transportation, has a specific policy, substance abuse policy for the SCATs department. We cut them out of the county's policy, so they're just under one distinct policy rather than both. Work week, we removed some unnecessary language just to simplify it, and also specifically stated, like the sheriff's department is on a separate work week than sheriff's department, EMS are under a different work week than 911 and other county employees. But most of that is just a language cleanup. Workers' compensation was just a combination with our return to work policy. So we could have a single policy on both of those issues to revert so we don't have confusion. And our educational leave policy was just minor changes to adjust to what we've been doing in practice. So it would, again, was a language cleanup. And these were approved by the policy committee as a recommendation for approval for the board.
Is that it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you're up again. Tax administrator's appointment.
The request
Request,
for
okay.
approval of these
Okay.
items.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the items as listed by the county manager.
Need a second?
I second.
Commissioner Golson seconded and Commissioner McCall made the motion. Jason, you have that. Is there any discussion or questions, anyone? If not, those in favor, use the sign aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. I.E. Johnson report. Kevin?
Actually, that one, I would refer to
You-
committee members. I know you had
The committee is on hold waiting for you and the attorney to tell us where we are with the deed. We've not met because we're waiting until, the deed is still in question.
I can update you on the deed. I spoke with the school attorney before the last meeting, and he indicated he was going to meet with the school board at their December meeting, which he did. And it's still the school's intention to donate the whole tract. I spoke with him in December, and he said he had done some research, or someone had done some research and gotten to him information regarding what he described as 3 parcels, which were in combination constitute the whole site out at IEJ. And I discussed with him, and he's provided that to me. I did discuss with him the, what sort of deed format his client would be comfortable with, either general warranty deed or special warranty deed. He said it was likely to be agreeable to them to do a general warranty deed. The difference there being a general warranty is a 100% warranty of everything on the title forever. The special warranty deed would be a deed where the school board would warrant that nothing happened while it did under. The reality is they've had their property since the early 50s, so I don't know that there's a lot to be gained there for the general warranty deed, but it would be my preference that we use it if the schools have no objection to it. I also, for the board's information, spoke with Mr. McLean last week, and he is extremely busy. The board did vote to have a survey done. He said at that time he was pretty close to getting started with the project. Sabrina, who was one of his employees, and also I think another employee, had done some research in their records that they were trying to locate any maps that Mr. Wampler might have had that he inherited, and he anticipated that he would probably be finishing the project by the end of January or first part of February. I will tell the board that there were 2 or 3 days that we were sort of back and forth trying to discuss it, and I know that he had some things out of county he was working on at least during that period of time. So he's a very, very busy person, and that was the schedule that he said he would be on for the survey goes. And I did tell him that when he started the process that I would share the information with him that the school board had given me.
So Attorney Johnson, do you anticipate that same timeline for the deed situation we take care of with?
I think so. Given what Mr. McLean said about his surveying, what I think a realistic time frame would be, I think you've got a special session you're proposing in February of some sort. Depending on when we can have the survey completed, maybe have everything back to the board by that special session.
Well, that's kind of what the committee stands on board. We did have a town hall meeting on December the 9th. Some of you attended along with representation from the city council. I think we all could agree that it was great conversation, great planning, great information with the citizens about various things that we hope that can take place there. Our board, our committee will meet again once we have our February session, and we'll set a meeting so that we can talk with our county manager about moving forward with starting some of the work out there. And I think Tim is going to address, but just about talking to the manager about job description of getting the director hired to work directly for that IHA project, so that once the ball starts rolling, we kind of keep it going. It's kind of where we are. But of course, at our board's discretion, our committee is just kind of waiting because of what the board said. We want to make sure that the survey was done and the deed was transferred before we started doing the additional work. And that's all I have. I'll give way to other committee members.
Well, what was brought to my attention in a meeting one day, I'm not sure who was there, but anyway, that when we voted on the appropriation of the money and everything out to that, I guess my motion left off the actual hiring of a director, of a community center director, and that we needed to have that added into that motion. The money's already there, so but I know they're going to have to write a job description, and so it's going to take a little bit of time for that to happen anyway. So with that, I would like to make that motion that we add that job into the IEJ project and start working on a job description and a hire for that position.
The appropriation was recommended, but it was not passed until the deed was done.
Until what?
Until the deed was done.
I get that. I'm fine with that, but I think this would at least start the job description and because that's going to be a real specific person you're looking for there. And so I just,
The job description, we would need to have a vote on that. Who would do the job? Right?
It would just be a modification of the scope of the project, of the project order.
That's what this motion is.
right,
Okay,
right.
so we've already placed in the budget amount of money for the director, right? You saying?
Not yet.
Yeah, it was in the 600,000 that we initially
It
did.
was in, yes, it was in there, but it was not, that was never approved.
No, now I'm lost. What, so 600,000 was approved contingent upon the deed and all that stuff being done.
So the deed is not done, so we need to wait.
But it was left off about the hiring of that position.
Correct.
Yeah.
That can be added in.
That was,
Do we know, okay, well, this person that we have for the director, have we well defined all the programs that will be involved with the IEJ project to have somebody full-time sit there in the office and are we ready for that type of to get involved with the director before we really define exactly what programs we're gonna have and he will be working and she will be working with?
Here's where we are with that as a community, Ms. Golson. What I think Commissioner Ivy is saying is that we want to approve the position so that county manager can start drafting a job description that our committee can look over, give some input, so that when that time comes, we'll have the job description in place for that person to be hired. One of the things that we recognize is just like the town of Waverham's Recreation Center has a director, town of Laurel Hill is gonna have someone over that. Our IEJ vision is bigger than just one recreation thing. And we know as a committee that it's gonna take a director, and we've already agreed they will work under Kevin's direction, but we need somebody who is gonna be dedicated just to the IEJ project so that all those things that we're wanting to take place, you gotta have somebody in charge to make that ball roll. You all have already shared that Kevin's hands are full, he's doing a lot. We're just saying that once the deed is done, we want to be able to go in and say, all right, we need to hire somebody so they can start making this vision come to reality. You all have attended the meeting. You know the public has millions of things they want done, but we need somebody who's going to be dedicated to doing analysis and those type of things to make that vision come to reality so it just sits here. So we're not saying hire somebody next month. We're saying let's approve giving Kevin the authority to start creating that job description so that when that time comes, we won't be working behind the eight ball.
And for the first year or 2 years of this, a lot of that's going to be project management, working on the construction, doing any renovation, help managing the renovation for any projects, doing facility repairs, in addition to coordinating with outside agencies that we work, that happen to work in the community.
And one thing we talked about is granting. That person will be at that doing the time trying to secure some additional grant funds to get some of those programs that we want in place.
I understand better now. Thank you.
Let me make this comment. We need a couple different people over this project. I mean, for the first year or two, you're gonna need someone in the realm of, not a professional engineer, but someone who can manage the actual hands-on of getting that building prepared so that it can have the programs in it that we're talking about. And then you're talking about somebody to direct and provide the services to the citizens that are going to be using the facility. So I see two different qualifications here, and I think it's going to be a challenge to find somebody that can do both. So I'm just throwing that out there. I mean, I think we need these people, but just to get the building off the ground, not off the ground, but up and running is very different from somebody being a director of a community center. They require different skills. Does anybody see what I'm saying?
No, I don't.
Talking about
So you think
project
someone can
director,
come in?
right.
I'm not arguing with
We say, Kevin, all we doing is put a description on the budget. It's already in budget.
my point.
Acknowledge it. We ain't acknowledging it yet.
Will you let me finish?
You asked a question, you said anybody not answer.
I'll try to explain again. I see the role of the person that we're talking about having to have a full list of qualifications to come in and oversee getting the building ready as a functional building, and then someone to oversee the operations that are going inside the building. I'm just making a point. I'm not here to argue with anybody or say I don't want a director. I'm just saying the way I see it is that we're asking a lot of a person to come in and then continue. So maybe I just see it differently. I'm not arguing with anybody. I don't want to get into a fight about it. I'm just saying I see it that maybe two different people might be needed.
You saying that they need first of all, you think that we need a project manager, somebody will come in and deal with the actual structure of the building and get all that together
Right.
before we get ready to put a direct in to run the program itself. That's what you're saying.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Dan.
Madam Commissioners, as you all have shared with me so wonderfully well, the reason we have a county manager is for him to manage the county. If Kevin sees that we need an additional person, I'm sure he'll come back to us and say, before we can hire the director, I think we need to hire a part-time person for a short term to do what you're saying. I think he'll do that. And I'm okay with that.
Okay.
But we're just
Can
saying,
Mike
we
McGurk
want
go?
to start working on the job description. And that means as a committee, when we meet with Kevin, that's gotta be two people, fine, so be it. We want to get it going by any means necessary.
Okay, so
I'm not trying to stop it from getting going. I'm just making a point that, you know,
Well, that's the good
Thank
part.
Yes, sir.
okay, thank you very much. So Kevin, you've heard the discussion. You work on that.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Next,
Mr. Chairman, there's a motion on the floor with a second.
a motion for
Work on
Director of
description and, update the project ordinance for a project man, or for a facility manager.
Recreation direct or community center director
Yeah.
after the deed.
we have a motion by Commissioner Gibson, a second. Need a second?
He did it.
I see he said he made the motion.
I second.
Oh, I made the motion.
Oh,
He
okay,
seconded
thank you,
it.
thank you. Keep me straight. Any further discussion or question? Those in favor, use the sign aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, sign nay. Thank you so much. Next, we will have an update on the Laurel Hill Community Center. Kevin?
With that, did receive word, because previously I had gotten word that the building may be delayed until March.
The when?
The building for Laurel Hill, this actual steel, wouldn't be until March, but then just before Christmas, got an email. They expect the ship date in January 28th. And we also change again, or it will change again, who knows when we'll get it, but it's finally moving in the right direction, so that's a positive step.
If it's gonna be that quick, they better get busy on some concrete.
I was up there checking it out this past week and they are busy working up there. They having the foundation.
And also, if you go into the Google Drive, under the Board of BOCC folder, there's a project. Laurel Hill Community Center is one of the projects. We do have all the documents that we're receiving are in there. And part of that is the weekly testing, environmental testing, the concrete testing and all that. So they're in there. Y'all can read the reports because I know I really can't. But all the information is in there. Photos that we take in there will be added in there as we go also. So if there's other information that any of you care to take, add into it, please let me know. We will add that in.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Next, we have boards and committee appointment. And we have one historic properties and unexpired term until June 30th, 2023. We have one application. That's Miss Annette Reed. Does any other commissioner have a name or any information? You don't have any?
I don't know.
So
I mean, I
move
have the
that,
application, but her application, but I don't.
Okay, so I move that Ms. Reed be appointed to this, to fill this unexpired term until
Second.
till June 30th, 2023. Carol, you second it? Who was that second?
Carol.
Carol. Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments? Those in favor, use the sign aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Thank you very much. Next, we have manager's report. Kevin?
One thing I do want to back up to, tax administrator, has to be appointed by the board, and his appointment is up, this month. And we are asking that the board renew, the contract. It is either a 2-year or a 4-year term for that contract. We're asking, instead of a 4-year term, to appoint for a 2-year term. And even though we are currently in process of recruiting for a new tax administrator because he has submitted notice that he is retiring, but we need.
Well, I mean, any retiring before this would even matter?
He's retiring in March. We need his.
Oh, I thought he said February. Okay.
March 31st.
Yes.
So we need to approve 2 more months.
Yes, but unfortunately, 2 months isn't enough.
I got you. I just thought it was the end of this month. That's why.
I'll make a motion that we appoint Mr. Brown to 2-year appointment.
The second?
Second.
Any further question or comments on this? Those in favor, let it be known by using the sign aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Thank you very much.
Others, fire department, getting an annual fire inspection, and we did have a couple of items that the Office of State Marshal, Fire Marshal did find in some of the departments. Most of these items are report driven. The actual reports I've received from the Office of State Fire Marshal are in your packet. But a number of them have already been corrected because there were reports that are filed into the state system, but they just did not take for whatever reason. A lot of times there are reporting issues. There was one other actionable item that needed to be corrected, but it will be if it's not been corrected. This does not impact the fire rating of any department because they have 1 year to correct. I would expect all of these issues to be corrected probably by the January. Again, for those that have not already been corrected. The salary study, the first phase of that, half the work has been done. We are waiting on the final report. The lead of the team doing the report had a personal delay. So that, as soon as that final report is brought back in, this will be brought back to the board for your information. As well as recommendations from the report. Go ahead and look at February for the work session that is normally held that month. Just as a potential date, I went ahead and recommended February 23rd. This is the week after the NACO legislative conference, so I know we have some members who will be out of pocket for that week. So I selected a Wednesday just as a starting point. We normally start around 9 o'clock in the morning. Computer saying speed up.
Mr. Manager, let me ask a question, please.
Okay.
We just heard the hospital director say that we should restrain from gatherings, and here we're gonna meet again. Do we need to maybe change this? Would it affect your budget planning too much to change it maybe to March to this, what time in February did you say?
February 23rd.
That's about the end of February. Do you think
That's
that'd
a
be
month and
enough
a half from
time?
now. Yeah, I think that's,
You think be enough time for us to get through this?
I would hope so.
I would hope so too.
If not, we would know at the February regular meeting.
Okay, all right. So we keep that in mind if, okay.
So you wanting it,
If things are not getting better, I join you and put that in off.
Thank
are you wanting it in the morning or in the afternoon?
All day.
Just in our normal.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
put it in the
like
AM.
9 to 2.
I got a dentist appointment that I can change that though. I'll be happy to change that.
And this is just a recommendation. You would recess the February regular meeting to this date. But that's just as good